What's going on, YouTube? Today we got Derek Nowlin in here, as promised. We're going to talk about his business venture. Last year, 1 year ago, him and his brother were in a business called Glazed and Confused. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some of Derek's goals with social media and what's going on in the local community. We're going to talk about some of the music and culture, and we're going to talk about future goals and like what our hopes are for the world and for our community. We're going to talk about all of that, and it's coming up right now. Thanks for watching, guys. What's going on, everybody? What's up, Derek?
Hey, how you doing, Scott?
Good, man.
Good
Hey,
to see
I
you.
appreciate you being here, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
We're going to hope to have you as a regular, a monthly type situation. You down for that?
I'd love it.
All right, cool, man. Cool. So what's going on with you?
Right now, just really taking time to take care of some family stuff.
Yeah.
Had to help my grandmother get some things situated. I think we talked about it before with my grandfather passing last year.
Right.
A lot of things changed around the house and trying to get things in order and repairs done because she does want to stay in her home.
Awesome.
She does go back and forth right now between our homes and hers. So, just getting that done. And then I think I spoke to you working on a stand-up routine.
Yeah.
That I'm writing out, and I think that will be the direction I eventually want to go.
Yeah.
With having a podcast and things like that. So just taking time to just kind of trim the fat in other areas and just focus on a few.
Yeah. What's life been for you during COVID? Like work-wise?
Work-wise, it's been an adjustment. For a while, we were working from home.
Yeah.
We're now back on site. And that was like a big adjustment, because I think a lot of people didn't realize that it was actually a real thing.
Yeah.
And I think when more people started posting about relatives, friends of family that are actually been, confirmed that they have it,
Yeah.
it's become more real. And of course, there is some anxiety around it because life continues and you want to see family. You want to go to your favorite restaurants and stores. You want to have those interactions, and some of those things have been put on hold a little bit. So I think that some people are just not, quite comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A year ago
Yeah.
you were here,
Yeah.
and you and Jordan were in the middle of Glazed and Confused.
Right.
And you guys are no longer associated, or y'all are no longer doing that business, correct?
Correct. Me or Jordan, we're both fully out of it.
Right.
The business is still running by another owner.
Right.
And they're doing well. Life had changed for both of us.
Yeah.
Jordan, had a addition to his family with his daughter,
Yeah.
which is great. We had different avenues
Yeah.
that were coming up, but we had a lot of support from the community, friends, yourself,
Yeah.
other people that patronized us and just wanted to help out. So I'm very, very thankful for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So take us through that experience.
Yeah, I would say for people that are interested in buying a business, becoming an entrepreneur, first things first, don't just go off what you read. It is going to require more effort than you probably ever gave. And make sure that what you're going into is something that you love.
Yeah.
I can admit that I did not love the business area that it was in, but I thought that it could work.
So would you say that you just seen green, an opportunity to make money, and you thought that might be the avenue in which to go? Or like, did you think pastry business was something that you could get into, like really be passionate about?
It actually wasn't either one of those.
Yeah.
What it was, I have a small list of things that I told myself that I wanted to try in life.
Right.
And speaking with you, you're like, hey, sometimes you take a risk.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to own my own business. I thought that I had the mentality and personality to do it.
Mm-hmm.
What I didn't realize is that until you're actually in it, you don't know how it's going to be. And in order to knock things off of that list, it's going to take risk, and I wanted to try it. And I feel like it's okay for me to step back and say, hey, that wasn't something I enjoyed.
Yeah.
And now on to the next thing. I have no personal negative feelings about it. It was something that I had to try. Now, at the end of my road, I can say, hey, these things scared me,
Yeah.
but I did it.
So you're proud of the risk you took. You're proud of how you learned.
Right.
You know, it was just a lesson. It wasn't a loss.
Right.
You're not going to be afraid to jump into the next one. Now that you've learned, you're still open to those ideas and that opportunity, just not in that way.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that the knowledge you gain from trying something like that, from
Yeah.
the paperwork to learning the logistics side, to learning about having your plan Bs.
Yeah.
Going into things like that, you're not thinking about, what if we have bad weather? What if some of these major companies have a layoff?
Yeah.
How's that affect us?
Yeah.
Right? How does, transitioning from a car to having to come in on foot? Some people just don't want to do that.
Right.
Some people will, it depends, If it's pouring down rain outside, it's easy to go through a covered drive-through.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can still get the items you want.
Right.
But if you're having to get out of your car and take the chance of getting soaked to go and get an item, that's, and what I mean to say is, I don't want to discourage anybody that's out there, because I feel like the only way you're going to really truly find happiness, it wasn't a sentence, like it was a lesson.
Yeah.
So the only way you're going to be able to figure things out is if you try.
Yeah.
But I will tell people that researching your competition, being passionate about the thing that you're going into, knowing it's going to require a lot more hours than you're putting in at your regular job.
Yeah.
Knowing that at the end of the day, it's on you. So if you do forget something, it's on you. If you're walking into an already structured business, then you can learn how they've been doing it and make adjustments.
Yeah.
Some people that are starting from the ground up, you're going to figure it out as you go.
Yeah. And in business, your organizational chart is so important.
Right.
And I think that might have been where you had some conflict, right?
Yeah.
Is like, you wanted to be the investor and the passive partner, and you wanted to put, Jordan into the spot of being the operator and like the decider, the CEO, almost, right?
Right.
And it was like you had to put too much of your own time in, and you had no freedom in your life at that point, right?
It was, I couldn't have done it without Jordan.
Yeah.
And I think we realized that we needed each other.
Yeah.
And I think that it took a huge toll on both of us.
Right.
It even spills over, like once you leave here, your work follows you home.
Yeah.
Because you're constantly getting listing change. I don't know how it works for you.
I mean,
but
every waking moment of my life, I've got an email to answer.
Yes, all the time.
Yeah.
So your work never ends.
Right.
I think I was used to doing something and that being done for that day.
Gotcha.
And not used to having to deal with things at home, or when you want that little bit of peace.
Right.
I get my peace from my home.
Yeah.
So when things interrupt that, I'm like, golly, that's all I have, Right. So like I said, I will never speak negatively on decisions that I've made.
Yeah.
A good friend told me, he said, Derek, anything that you do in life that you consider a learning point or something that you gain from it, do not harp on it.
Yeah.
Friendships will mend, money will return in other ways.
Yeah.
I know
time will heal the wound.
Right.
For sure.
And I know that I'm good to people.
Yeah. You are definitely.
It may not return immediately.
Yeah.
But it will down the road.
For sure.
Yeah.
Cool, man. I think that's a very interesting story. I think, you and your family being a part of the community and the influence that you guys can have and what your goals are is something we need more of. We need more of that.
Yeah.
I mean, we need diversity in the community. We need leadership. We need leadership, from the black community. We need somebody to step up. Right. I'm so proud of Jordan for getting on the police force. That's amazing.
Yeah, shout out to him for that.
Definitely.
I know that was a big step for him, a big milestone.
Yeah.
This is something that he wanted to do because he's thinking long term, right? Yeah. He's thinking career, retirement. And I think that it was funny, he texted me from the training at the academy, and he's like, dude, we have to march. We have to do things just like you did, you know? And it was cool that he got to see that parallel while he's training, because it's something that I experienced. And I told him, you will never forget this. Yeah. This decision was rough for you, but in 20 years from now, you're going to be so glad that you did it.
And he's the type, he's an athlete.
Yes.
I mean, He is a bodybuilding athlete.
Yes.
He needs to take that mentality into the police force and hold these guys accountable. Help them train.
Right.
Help them understand what they need to be.
Right.
Hold them accountable to racial stuff.
Right.
You know, he needs to be that voice that we need for change. Yeah.
And I think seeing young men in the community, we have so many people that we graduated with that are doing things, right? Luke Brew, he just popped up in my head. He has a coffee shop in Christiansburg in front of Hawkeye Hall. And I was there when he was getting the equipment installed,
Gotcha.
which kind of sparked me to be like, man, Luke is doing it. I need to take a little bit of a leap, but I didn't know what that was.
Right.
So shout out to Luke Brew. I forget the name of his.
I think it's Brew Coffee.
Brew Coffee Company.
Yeah.
And I believe I rode by there one day and they were still open.
Yeah.
So you do have a lot of people that are talented in this community. I would love to see more people our age opening businesses. Jason Diggs, different people that are doing it that may not tell you that they're doing it, but just know they're out here.
Definitely.
And they're hustling.
There needs to be somebody of our generation that steps up to lead the communities
Lead the
too.
community, yeah.
You know, all these boomers making our decisions.
Right.
You know, I'm ready for somebody of our generation to jump in and start influencing these decisions.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
So.
I think that's another thing I looked at was my voice can reach so many people.
Yeah.
If I'm really passionate about what I'm saying, then you know I'm going to stand behind it.
Yeah.
But other than me just talking, what am I really doing?
Right.
Right. Maybe it's time for me to take other steps. Maybe to try to get on a board.
Yeah. I mean, look, you executing the social media strategy that we've talked about for 2 years.
Right.
Like that's putting you in a platform to influence leaders. That actually helps you become a leader when you're influencing leadership.
Right.
So that's something I think you can do through these platforms here locally, and probably provide a nice life for you outside of whatever you're doing now.
Right.
Like if you want something more out of your life, you're clearly talented enough to jump out there and do it. We just got to get you to the point where you're confident and you have all the tools that you need to do that. So that's why I want you to come on every month, once a month, or when you're available, and let's just have these. Sometimes there's going to be a tough conversation. Sometimes we might not agree.
Right.
You know, sometimes there might just be something we got to talk out.
Right.
You know. And you put me in my place, and I put you in your place, right?
As you say, we got to educate them.
Right, exactly.
Right, you know, and I think that you made a good point just now, Scott. I had a conversation with a relative of mine, and it was a tough conversation. And I think that's what people are avoiding right now because they're afraid of confrontation. But if we don't sit down and have tough conversations about what's going on in the world, you may get some insight from somebody that you never thought before, and it changes your perspective.
Definitely.
Right? And what it's coming down to right now is just heartstrings and human decency.
Yeah.
Let's take out everything else. Right is right, wrong is wrong.
Definitely.
If you wouldn't want it to happen to your brother or your father or your sister, it shouldn't be happening to other people.
No doubt.
You know? And there are things that are going to have to be put in place, right? But I think collectively, as a community, as different people, different demographics, the only way we force change is together.
Yeah.
You know, division won't do it.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Riots, burning down cities won't do it.
No, it will not do it. And I will go on here. I think somebody might have misquoted something I said on social media. I have never supported destruction of any type of property, right? I would never go to somebody's city, town, and steal anything from a store. It's just not something that I would do.
Yeah.
I do not support that either. I don't think that it helps. What that does is people that are already hardened and set in their mentality, what that does is it gives them a rebuttal to mask the issue. Well, they're not really concerned about this brutality because they're burning targets, right?
Right.
But it's a small group of people that are doing that, and it's a follow the leader type of thing, and I don't condone it.
And it's beyond the facts of the matter, right? So they don't even have all the facts. They're reacting to something that got them very emotional.
Right.
You don't make critical decisions on emotion.
No.
You wait for everything. You calm down. You use logic.
Right.
You use your brain to say, well, let's just get the full context of the story before we start burning stuff.
Right.
You know.
And Another thing is there hasn't been a clear path, I think, in the black community to how do we approach things that we see are unjust, wrong, unfit. Some of the approaches that we take, it doesn't matter, it seems like which way we go, it's going to be scrutinized, right?
Yeah.
So I think that adding to that, anything, vandalism, anything like that, like I said, I don't support it. We have to step back from that and say, hey, okay, collectively, if we had an issue with a business or a person, right? Let's collectively as a community say, we're not going to support that business, right? I think for the black culture, we are the most marketable people ever.
Honestly, if I'm being completely honest,
right?
When Dave Chappelle says he's going to give up being black, like he'd be out the game today, right? Back in 2016 on SNL,
right?
He brings up the fact that if he could give up being black today, he'd be out the game. Well, I'll take his card. I would, the benefit. I think there's huge benefit.
Right.
I think that I think for me, if I was black in this community doing what I'm doing, it would be headline news.
Right.
Is that an offensive statement? Because I think if somebody of your race came into this business and worked as hard as I did, they would be extremely more successful than I am. And I'm at the top of the list.
Right. I think that's an interesting point that you made, because I think that there would be kind of a left and right limit. I think that you would be more successful because I think that there's a idea with most people that if you were a black businessman, you might have to work just a little bit harder to earn trust, right? You might have to work just a little bit harder to show them that, hey, I can do this, right? But I do feel like in this community, if we had more of that, people would support it. Yeah. They just don't see it too often.
Right? 400 people in this, 5 of them are black.
Right.
400 agents in the New River Valley. We have 5 people of color. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I think that if we got more people interested in your career, and got more people face to face, because going into these homes, talking to people, they might break down a lot of barriers.
Yeah.
A lot of people may be like, well, I may not trust this guy because of how he looks. But hey, he came in, he cared about my family, he heard our wants and needs, we got our home sold, and we're going to recommend him to somebody else.
Yeah.
And maybe that's something that we need to project more. Hey, this is a field that we need more diversity.
We do.
Yeah,
we certainly do.
And I also think that what we have to do is we have to, like I said, look at human decency. Let's not throw the rebuttal in so much. Let's not try to bring up someone's criminal history as a justification for their death. I would get in trouble more right now.
I'm glad this is flowing really well, man. Yeah, keep that thought going.
I would get in more trouble right now. There would be people with pitchforks outside my house if I went and threw a bag of golden retriever puppies off a bridge. Right? Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Oh my God, the outrage.
Yeah.
Right? But if I had an altercation with a police officer, and in any way or shape or form, as a human, I did not like the way they were handling me, what if I defended myself? Because at the end of the day, right, am I not allowed to do that? If they were putting me in a stressful position, am I supposed to take what's happening to me to avoid anything else escalating, or should I defend myself like I would somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
People would scrutinize that so much to say, if Derek would have done this, if Derek would have done that, oh, Derek had a DUI. Not that I did, but, a few years ago. He deserves to, be this way. Why do we have to criminalize somebody to justify what happened to them?
Yeah. What I know of you,
right?
You're not going to put yourself in a position to be non-compliant. You're going to comply. They're going to treat you the way that you're treating them. I think, if you've done something wrong,
right?
And they've detained you,
right.
You're not going to be the type, in my opinion, to put them in that spot. right? That's just,
I don't think that I would.
yeah,
I think that I'd have more fear, to be honest.
yeah,
Because I don't. Here's what I think it comes down to. Because I think there's a lack of diversity training in the police force.
yeah,
You're putting young officers in positions where they haven't gone into communities and actually identified who they are.
yeah,
You're putting officers in positions that they may be scared, right?
yeah,
In the academy, they are taught escalation of force, right? They're taught to how to, defend themselves, use certain things, holds and things that they might have to do. I think what we're seeing right now is you're having people that enter into a situation. There's fear on one side.
mm-hmm.
There's fear and anger on another side, and then they meet.
Right.
Right.
And like the professional, which is the police officer, only gets that training within the academy.
Right.
They don't ever have, monthly combat training. They don't have mental health fitness on a monthly basis.
Right.
Like that's what's got to change too, is like the tactics about handling people that get out of control.
Right.
And they don't do that but one time in their career, police academy.
Right.
From what I understand.
Right.
Right.
And we might need to research that.
Yeah.
But you made a good point. You actually commented on something that we were talking about, that things that I thought that could be put in place to help, right?
Yeah.
Quarterly mental health evaluations.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
How do we know that this officer didn't go through a nasty divorce and now he's distraught?
Right.
Everything puts him on the edge, right?
Yeah.
So now his level is heightened.
Yeah.
How do we know that this officer didn't have a tragic death in the family?
Yeah.
How do we know that he doesn't have depression or anxiety?
Yeah.
Has that been identified?
Right.
Because a lot of people, unless they speak up, you're not going to know that they do. Find that out. If the officer needs a break or he's unfit, let's not put him out there and put him in situations, right?
Yeah.
Anything could tip him,
Yeah.
right? And also, let's increase. I think that in the military, we knew that if you did something wrong, right, you're going to be court-martialed, right? Your military career could be over because you decided to do something or take a life that was unjust, right?
Yeah.
There were times that we had to call to get authorization while we were being shot at before we could return fire,
Wow.
okay? Over a radio,
Wow.
okay? Now, that's using escalation of force. You throw a rock at me, I throw a rock back, not a bullet, right? You can't throw a rock at me and I throw a bullet back at you for you throwing a rock.
Right.
If you run from me, I have to chase you. I can't shoot you because you're faster than me or you might get away.
Right.
If you steal, we have a judicial system that's put in place to give you a punishment for what you stole, not for you to die,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I think that's what we forget too. And then also, I think that there needs to be stricter punishment if the police officers do something that's unjust or take a life. No retirements, no things like that, not to support you, because you knew taking on that badge what the responsibility was if you're found guilty of it, right?
Yeah.
These are civilians at the end of the day. When
Right.
they go home to their families, their dads, their husbands, their wives,
Yeah.
who is there to govern them, right?
Right.
And they may need extra help. So I think that if they do something like that, from the chief down, they have to come out into a boardroom and say, hey, while you're working today, if you do anything that is unjust and we investigate it and we put you on administrative leave or whatever, and it comes out that you didn't take the necessary steps in your escalation of force before you use lethal force or something, we're not going to stand behind you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Police departments are governed by the state,
Yeah.
right? So, there's a lot of internal things.
Right.
So maybe I'm rambling, but that's just...
I think you hit a lot of points. I think that the bottom line of it all is that they need more tactical training. They need to be skilled. To
Right.
be a part of the police force,
Yeah.
you've got to be in an athletic caliber.
Definitely.
You have to be athletic in caliber. You don't have to be an athlete,
Right.
but you have to have athletic capabilities.
Capabilities, yes.
Like you have to know how to climb a wall. You have to know how to. You need to hit a certain time on like a 40-yard dash.
Right.
Something like that. Like you need to understand. How to use a partner, how to team. How to fight. You
Right.
need all that.
You need definitely how to fight. I think that there is a big fear when maybe and some people might say, well, how can Derek speak about that? I've been in situations where it came up to me to protect the guy that was beside me because we were taking fire.
Yeah.
So these are situations I've been in,
Yeah.
right? But have I been a police officer? No.
Yeah.
But what I think is, if there was extra resources, right, extra training put in, you wouldn't see a lot of the things that are going on right now, because I feel like people are being backed, they're being supported, right? And it does have a heightened state of fear right now. What you said about people having more athletic training and more defensive training, learning how to fight and things like that, I think that is important, because maybe if the police officer felt more comfortable in his capability, the first thing he wouldn't go for would be his gun.
Sure.
Because right now, heck, hey, I know Scott's a black belt. I'm not gonna win this.
Right.
How do I even the playing field, right?
Yeah.
This guy's 6'3".
They grab that because they're so deathly afraid, and if they were trained in martial arts, or fighting, just boxing almost.
Right.
If they were just trained in boxing,
Right.
they would have more confidence to not have to reach for that gun so soon.
That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Confidence, right?
Yeah.
I think the most powerful job right now is if you're a judge, a lawyer, a police officer. They are putting a lot of responsibility, just like they did us. 18, 17 years old, they put a rifle in your hand, you go overseas. It's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
They're putting a lot of responsibility on these young men and women, right, to make split-second decisions, to have a good moral compass, right? And we need more vetting, right? We need to look into their Facebook pages. If they got a crazy Facebook page and they got a bunch of stuff on there that is kind of questionable,
right,
I don't know if they need to be an officer, because you've now made them one of the most powerful people in this community.
Right.
Right? That gun and that badge comes with a lot of responsibility, and it has a lot of power.
It does.
So I think that the more vetting that we can do, the more we can have maybe diversity training, maybe have some meetings where the community can come out and say, hey, these are issues that we think we're having with the departments right now. Can we speak about it?
Right.
More diversity in other areas too. I just feel that
and then more diversity in actually putting people of diversity in these spots.
Because yes, maybe in Montgomery County, we may not see as big of issues as inner cities have.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe not the same type of conflict. And let me go ahead and say, I'm not against police. I'm not here to talk about that. A lot of my family members have been officers or retired officers.
Well, your brother just.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not.
You support him.
Yeah,
obviously.
I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, it hurts my heart to see things happen, and the first comments I see are so negative that you've totally missed the point to even have a little bit of concern for that person's life. Okay, we have had serial killers still fulfill 20-some years in jail. They had people in their freezers. If they're allowed to come and do an interview and have a trial or be up for parole, shouldn't the person be able to at least make it to the courthouse?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think anybody is happy about the people dying.
Right.
You know what I mean? And what's the solution of these nonsensical acts that go on that kill people,
right?
Especially people of color, right? So,
right.
that needs to be talked about.
And I think, and I can say this, some people might get mad at me, and that's okay, because I feel like this is a platform to say it.
Yeah.
I feel like in the black community, if we come together and we speak out about something, the very second we start to speak, people are like, oh, here we go with this, right?
Right.
I see it.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, the reason why you're not seeing, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe we need to find some real evidence of this.
Yeah.
I think police in certain areas where these things are happening, there are consequences when you do things to certain demographics.
Yeah.
Right? You start pulling Jewish teenagers out of their cars and beating them into seizures, you're going to pay.
Yeah.
Because they're powerful, right?
Yeah.
You do that to Korean teenagers, you're going to pay, right? You do that to white teenagers, you are going to pay, right? They are going to hit you where it hurts, right? In the black community, because we're not speaking to each other, we are not coming together the way we should, they already know there won't be a consequence, right? Maybe a couple riots, some protesting. I'm not saying just from the black community. I'm saying across the board.
Yeah.
Maybe peaceful protesting, but even when that happens, somebody has something to say. There is some weird negative thing when we try to speak up. So it's going to take people like me, you.
So you made a post about the booing of the Kansas City Chiefs and the Texans.
Right.
You know, as far as like, you know, that reaction to that, you thought. Give me your perspective on that. Like I see that I'm looking at like your social media right now. I'm looking at some of your posts. I was stuck on the 3 hots and a cot.
3 hots and a cot. If you want to be, if you really want to be, and this is why I put 3 hots and a cot. People in the military know what that means, right? 3 hot meals and a cot to sleep on.
Right.
You know, at times it's the best thing in the world, right? What I put that post for is because a lot of people have this vigilante mindset right now, right? Let's go to towns that we not even taxpayers in, and let's defend buildings and let's do this. Let's put ourselves in situations that we may have to react. Outkast has a song, right?
Right.
What's B.O.B., Bombs Over Baghdad.
Right.
What does they say in the chorus? Don't pull the thing unless you plan to bang.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you put yourself in situations where you might have to use a firearm that you brung because somebody reaches for it, you put yourself in that situation.
Yeah.
You could be at home. You didn't have to go somewhere else. And I'm glad that people want to go and help and defend things, right?
Yeah.
But now you've kind of deputized civilians to carry out work that they shouldn't be doing, right?
Right.
Now, if you had nothing in your heart to where you wanted to fire your weapon, what if I called your bluff? What if you pulled a gun on me, Scott, and I'm like, use it, and I lunge for you?
Right.
Now I put you and me in a position you never wanted to be in.
Right.
That's what's happening to people, right? And all these people are like, oh, that's patriotism, that's this, that's that. To me, if you really want to serve your country and talk about how we mitigate terrorists, I have a way for you to do it.
Yeah.
I did it, right? That's what I look at, right? You put yourself in certain situations.
There's some people that believe that this is leading up to, you know, a modern time civil war type thing.
Right.
You know, that they are defending because the police have been defunded or the mayors aren't putting these police forces in action. They're actually allowing for this type of thing, which naturally is going to cause vigilantes.
Right.
You know, like everybody wants to be Batman.
Everybody.
You know? So,
right.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, you don't even have the right equipment for the job, right? And like I said, when you are prepared to take it to a certain level, just know it may not be favorable.
Yeah.
You may have to defend yourself and take a life.
Yeah.
And now you have that on your conscience for the rest of your life.
And you might actually end up in jail.
In jail,
Like the dude's still in jail that did that.
Right,
I mean,
you know.
That 17-year-old kid.
17-year-old kid, you know. And a lot of people were so. I don't understand the climate of the nation. I don't understand. Here's what I want to say. Who are the people that wake up in the morning and they have been put in charge of saying who is or is not a decent citizen based upon how they look?
Right.
When did that happen?
Right.
How do people get to say, I trust Derek in long sleeves with a smile, but I don't trust him because he has tatted sleeves? He looks, I don't know, right? Who? And I know we all do it, but who puts people in those positions to do that? That I feel like that kid, even if his intentions, he wanted to go to render aid, first aid, things like that. My son, you're going to be at home.
Yeah.
You think I'm going to let my son take an assault rifle into a hazardous situation and put him in a situation where he might have to use it as a young man and throw his life away before it even gets started?
Yeah.
No. But somewhere in that mentality, people think that as a young man right now, I can take an AR and go out here and defend this store because I'll be justified. The nation will justify me, and they did.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why wasn't that kid at home? Right?
Yeah.
He should have, and now, luckily, nothing happened to him. What did he have to do, though?
Right.
He had to put 2-3 people down, I think.
Yeah, he did.
Right?
Yeah.
And I watched the video.
Yeah.
Okay? First thing he said after the first guy lost his life, called his buddy. I just dropped a guy, in lack of better terms.
Yeah.
And he took off running again, right? I think his adrenaline was high, and I think right then is when he realized this ain't Call of Duty. This ain't no video game. In real life, there's no restarts, respawns.
Yeah.
You know, and I think people have to, I see a lot of people saying, I'll do this, I'll do that. You know?
I mean, I just want to live a nice life. I just want to get through and love and cherish the opportunity that I have. I got maybe 100 years on this earth if I'm lucky.
Right.
Like
God willing.
You know, exactly. So and probably only about 55 of those are productive.
Right.
You know, so there's just no time for that.
There's no time for that. And I think we have to have time for healing. I think there has to be, and I'm not saying that every time someone that looks like me speaks up that people roll their eyes and are not heard. I think that it's because there is some type of ill attitude towards, and I read a lot of people's comments on different things and fixing things. And the most powerful thing I'm seeing in the media right now is word association.
Yeah.
What words are you attaching to the people that you're talking about?
Right.
Because that's what people then say over and over again, right?
Yeah.
You know, if you were a bully in this market that you're in and the agent showed up at the house the same time you did, and you're like, get back in your car. Right? You better get back in your car.
Right.
I got my client here.
Right.
And he's like, oh my God, Scott's a bully. Right?
Right.
That's going to trickle down. Like, don't show up at the house same time Scott does.
Yeah.
You ain't going to show it.
Yeah.
Right? Word association. So then you become a bully.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's very powerful.
Yeah.
So I think that what we have to do is really look at, as even like you said, as a black community, what do we need to do? I think having uncomfortable conversations, right? And it can't stop there. Maybe we have to go back to boycotting. I skipped over. What I meant by black people being so marketable, you can go anywhere in the world and see our culture. They love the culture.
We do.
But you might not love me. Why? Because the culture goes everywhere. TikTok is hip hop culture. Everything you see, professional sports culture, fashion culture, music culture. You even got country music artists now that have a little bit of rap in there.
It's called rap. It is a genre now.
It's a genre.
Yeah.
I mean, it's spilling over. Some people don't like it. We're going to go downtown. We're going to sit around. We're going to do this. We're going to get down.
Right.
Where'd you get that flow from?
Right.
Right? But at the same time, you can love everything about the culture, right? And everything that it provides for you. Case in point, Post Malone. Post Malone made the song Iverson years ago when he was sleeping on a couch because he decided to go out to LA, wherever he was at, right?
Yeah.
In the video, he's paying homage to Allen Iverson, cornrows, everything, right? He's using the culture to make his platform. Then once he got there, he said, if you want to listen to something senseless, brainless, something like that, listen to hip hop. But hip hop's what got you on, right?
I didn't know he said that.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Now, as a culture, what the hip hop artist should have done is, really? Posty? Is that what they call him? Posty?
Right. Yeah.
Really, Posty? No features with Migos. No features with anybody. You know what I'm saying? We're blackballing you. You want to talk about the thing that helped you get on? We cool, no violence. But your business relationship, that's it.
Yeah.
Now, he's a good artist.
Yeah.
But the way that he got his buzz, you know what I'm saying? So I think that, and I'm not making this a black-white thing. Please don't think that. I'm just saying that I think that as talented as I feel like my community is, I feel like people love the things that come from the community, but they might not love the issues, or they might not want to talk about them, or they might get irritated by them.
It seems like we want to shove them under the rug.
A little bit,
sometimes.
because it's easier, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot easier for me in my household to have a conversation if I don't speak about how I really feel, right? Mm. People are having these conversations around their dinner tables with their families, right? The one thing I'm hopeful is that further generations, we see more diverse groups of friends.
Yeah.
Me and you have them.
Yeah.
That's why we're sitting here right now.
Right.
Right? We know the same people.
Yeah.
and they don't all look like us.
Right.
But we form that bond, right? Yeah. I'm hoping for that.
Yeah.
I think that there's a big divide right now in the world. I don't know. I'm not going to place it on Donnie. Right? I'm not going to put it on Donnie.
Right.
He cracks me up. He's a genius. Right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to put it on him. But there is something sadistic about the followers that are willing to do anything for, and really I don't know. But there's something going on right now. And I think that I always tell people that the culture people love, but they might not love everything that comes with it. You can't, like the Bible, you can't pick what you want and say you're a sinner because you cuss, but I'm not a sinner because I get mad or quick to anger or something like that. So I think that I've had a lot of tough conversations with people, coworkers, family, friends, and my job is not to change how you feel because I probably can't. But let me give you a different perspective, right? Yeah. Let me put it to you. Every time that I talk about something with my sister or a relationship, she'll say, "What if that was me, Derek?" Ooh, changes the narrative, right?
Right.
I'll be daggone if I want a man to be with my sister a certain type of way. I want him to be the best, right? So she'll put that into that perspective. Sometimes you have to tell people, okay, it's happening to this group right now. What if it was happening to you more often?
Yeah.
Would that change anything? You know, and all I want people to do is just look at what's going on and say, hey, this is a problem, right? Now, I'm not looking for a handout. I'm not looking for anything.
And you're not trying to start an argument.
Not trying to start an argument, not at all.
You're not comparing one thing to another thing. You're just using your thing.
I'm just using my thing. And I might be wrong. And there's people that might watch this and be like, oh, well, there's crime in this community. There's crime in that community. But I'm telling you from what I know that people do not feel. Do you really feel, Scott, that if there was... All right, let me put it to you like this. A lot of rebuttals I hear for men and women of color is, well, what about this? Well, what about that? Why can't we talk about what we're talking about instead of bringing in things you've never experienced?
Yeah.
How many bad neighborhoods have you rode through in Crenshaw?
Right. I've never been. Actually, you know what?
You know what I'm saying?
I rode by the Crenshaw exit.
Right, you know what I'm saying? How many conversations... I haven't.
Yeah.
How many conversations have these people that are so concerned with these targets and these things that are happening in these neighborhoods, and you're so concerned with a fabricated statistic like black on black crime, right? Because anytime you put a group of people in an area, every interaction that they have is with a person of the same race.
Yeah.
So of course the statistics are going to be a little bit more because everybody that lives in this 800 building apartment stack is the same, right? But you know what I'm saying? Like, let's really look at it. Are you actually concerned with that statistic or using it as a rebuttal because you really don't care, right? If you really cared about it, let's go do some work.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm even saying that to myself.
And here's the thing, you know, the thing that I see with that statement is a cultural divide sometimes.
It
is.
Know,
like, you know, we can transition into the music portion of like what we're going to talk about too.
Right.
When you hear these artists that we glorify talking about, you know, the murdering of police and drug dealing and things like that. I mean, I love the baby, but he throws out some very like sensationalized lyrics sometimes about killing cop and, you know, just, you know, the way he handles women type thing.
Right.
And that really does affect the culture because people are influenced by that.
Very much so.
And, you know, Cardi B throwing WAP out there, like, you know, what's your take on that for the black community?
Yeah. It's funny you bring this up. I just had a conversation. I said, if I had the power, because I'm so saturated with all these rebuttals, I would reach out to every hip hop artist, and I love music more than anybody, and I would tell them, from now on, we're not promoting this, we're not promoting that, we're promoting a gallon of water a day, a plant-based diet, and healthy relationships.
Right.
Do you know what would happen? The big CEOs and all these companies that are making money off these guys, you're done. We don't want a positive message out here. That's not what feeds this stuff.
Right.
We want you to talk about what you had to do to make it here, the gun running, the women, the things like that. I would pray that we could. I just want to see, what if we can do it? I'm reaching out to all the artists.
Yeah.
The next albums y'all make, let it all be about mental wellness. Let's get healthier. Let's do this and just see what happens. Let's do a social experiment.
What do you think about Bryson Gray? You know, because he's doing exactly what you're saying.
Yeah,
He's a conservative black guy that's a rapper. He's pro-Trump. He's he's trying to get that message out. He's being canceled.
Right.
You know, like, what do you think about him?
I think that with the efforts that he's trying to do, I think that a lot of people are associating hurt with change, right? Because we feel like we only see certain things associated with a pro, Trump or things like that.
Yeah.
I've never seen a presidency where people form caravans and it's like this fear, we're going to push this down your throat type of thing, right? I haven't seen that before until now. So I think people are taking what they see, and even in the black community, if I saw that as a black man, if I didn't have an open mind, I'm like, dude, you're washed. What are you doing? What do you mean?
Yeah.
So they're going to cancel stuff like that because they don't understand, right? But also, what I was talking about with the hip-hop community, you made a good point. Somebody put up a thing that said, Young Jeezy told you to trap or die, but he told his son to go to a 4-year college, right? So I'm just trying to put things into perspective.
Yeah. I do think you're absolutely right. If the mainstream got that out of the black artists, that would not be as compelling.
And I'm not saying that they need to cancel hip hop. What I'm saying is some people cannot listen to hip hop and not be so affected by it, other than to motivate them to get a last set in, maybe to what do they call it? Live vicariously through what you hear.
Yeah.
Maybe you can think that you're in Miami in a Maserati, and that's cool.
Hitting the foreigns.
Some people can't make the split between what they're hearing and what they should live, right? Some people come from situations where it's a generational cycle. Yeah. The only reason I said that about hip-hop artists, because I want to see what would happen.
Yeah.
I want to see what would happen with these big music execs if we had more Tobys, if we had more, what's his name? Talib Kweli.
Yeah.
Most Defs. If we had more
lyrical side.
You know what I'm saying? I want to see what would happen, because people, let's not, I'm making this one last point. People have been promoting this stuff in hip hop forever, right? Public Enemy was talking about things. Outkast back in the 90s was talking about staying off red meat. It's nothing new.
Yeah. Big
Boy ain't had a burger in 20 years.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? This is nothing new. It just may not reach the masses, right? I think that if we could change, let's say, okay, if to get you to care about this black man that had his life taken, you want 3 things, right? Your rebuttal is black on black crime, look what the music says, and all this other stuff. If I take those 3 things away from you, will you now care?
Right.
So let's try it. Yeah. Let's try to change the music, right? Let's try to take out words that people think that some people can use, some people can't. Let's do away with that. And what rebuttal do you have now? Will you now care about that that's a person and they're no longer here?
Right. I think
that's what I want to see.
I do too. I think everybody would love to see that. I mean,
but why do we even have to do that?
Right.
Right? That's a real question.
Yeah.
Why do we even have to change music that people are profiting off of? Why? But I do see what you're saying, Scott. I'm a hypocrite right now. My phone is full of from Dwight Yoakam to Korn.
Yeah.
I listen to everything, but the thing about it is if we really want to get rid of rebuttals, there are things in the black community that we have to fix in order to get people to respect what we're trying to do. Yeah. Because if we can do that, there's no more rebuttals, there's no more anything, right?
Yeah.
You know, and then can we stand on a unified front and say, hey, everything from that we need to fix, we did, and this is what we want. But it's a shame that we even have to put ourselves in that position to get somebody to change their mind. We got to do things first, right? Because that's the first thing people are going to say. Yeah. And it frustrates me because the reason why I said a social experiment for the music is because that's the first thing I hear. Well, he hung out with so-and-so. He has a long criminal history. When Dylan Roof is his name, And I'm not trying to do a black or white thing. When he went into the church and took those lives of those people,
Right.
did they bring up his criminal history, mental health, what he was like, what type of music he listened to? No,
Nope.
they got him Burger King and gave him water, and he pleaded mental insanity. And the word association that was attached to him was mentally unstable. Can we be mentally unstable? Sure. Right? We can be mentally unstable. Why did you do that? I need help. Right? He knew what he was doing. It's premeditated. But what I'm saying is people don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
And I'm not going tit for tat. I'm just showing that above us, above our understanding, something's murmuring and it's not cool.
Yeah.
So, since people give me that rebuttal so much, my wish would be to take away their lanes for rebuttals, and now can we have a conversation?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I just can't. I have a hard time grasping why people are so polarized right now. Right. I do. You know, if it wasn't for coronavirus, I mean, we'd all be. I mean, everybody was working. Everybody was getting it if they wanted it. You know, like if they were really after it, they were able to get it, type thing. I just, you know, it's a shame that hit us. You know, and it's a shame that we have probably two of the most polarizing and questionable candidates of all time.
Right.
You know, one is clearly cognitively declining, and one's morally questionable. You know, so
yeah. And here's another thing. I thought about this last night. This will make you laugh, hopefully. I feel like there's more talent in this room than what I'm seeing on the TV.
Oh,
I've only known you for 10 minutes, but I can tell that he's intelligent. You wouldn't have hired him if he wasn't.
Here's the thing. He's a key component in how we're here.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Right? Scott knows that if he wants to build his basket, I need people that are better at things than I am.
Or at least support me where I'm not good.
Where I'm not good. Yeah. Help me to grow.
Yeah.
I know that the people in this room could be a better candidate. And here is my shot, and people can come at me for this if you want. Do you really feel that the person that you're so diehard supporting right now, is he the best fit as a person to represent us? As a veteran, I cringe.
Yeah.
Right? As a veteran, I served this country.
Yeah.
3 different tours, right? Iraq and Afghanistan twice. I've seen all kinds of stuff.
Do we have to pick the lesser of two evils?
Right, you know? Right. That's another. Now, there are smarter people that I passed at Tech today that don't have the confidence to run to be the president, right? I don't feel that he's ever sat on a school board. Foreign policy. What are the requirements other than U.S. citizenship and age?
Right.
And people are they're gonna come at me for this, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, the people that support him are smarter than him. And I'm not just talking about intelligent-wise. I'm talking about you can't get there and just have a freelance Twitter rant and doing all these things. I really feel like there's nothing short that he could do rather than show up at a press conference with donut powder on his nose and people be like, oh, he kissed his wife. That's makeup. Right?
Yeah.
There's nothing short that he could do for people, and that's scary to me.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing this because I'm an anti-Trump.
Yeah.
I think he's a good businessman. I think that he's very smart. I think he did this to show the nation just how messed up we may be. When he got elected, he was like, oh my God, I got to work now. I actually have to do something now, right?
Yeah.
He wanted to see if he could do it.
Yeah.
It's a check mark for him.
I mean, the marketing and branding that is displayed off that, I mean, you're right. I mean, he figured that branding out to get to his goal.
Right.
I mean, that's it. It's a big branding play.
Right.
You know?
Here's my question to everybody. Yeah. Make America great again.
It's reasonable.
Reasonable. Here's my question. What time period? What day? What week? What decade are we referring to? When did it not become great for some people, right? I just want to know the ideology behind make it great again, right? Yeah. Are you talking about the last term, right? people feel strongly about that. What are we referencing right now?
Yeah.
Because the rhetoric, the coded rhetoric that he speaks,
that can go deep on every level.
on every level.
Every level.
It's like iRobot. The coded rhetoric that he speaks, I hear it. But people in their living rooms and little red bulbs are coming on their heads like, they're activated. What are we talking about, right? What are we actually talking about? And I know a lot of people are, this is just my opinion. It's not fact. And I love to talk about it with other people because I want to understand when you look at him, what drives you, right?
Okay, I'll give you my perspective.
Please, I'd like to hear it.
So when you have the options that we have,
right,
and we're judging the guy on what we happen to catch him in private saying,
right,
versus the policies that he's enacting in public,
right,
to benefit everybody,
right,
I feel like he has displayed to me the sense of he wants everyone to prosper publicly.
Okay.
And maybe he's been a degenerate asshole in private, right? So he's misogynistic. He's taken down women privately. He's probably not. He's left people hanging as far as paying them.
Right.
He destroyed the economy in Atlantic City when he was in Atlantic City.
Right.
I mean, he's had a destructive path financially and in business.
Right.
So if he wasn't understanding of the advantages that he could take, he probably would have had to file bankruptcy. Or no, maybe he has filed bankruptcy, but he's protected his wealth.
Right.
Right. So he's smart enough to protect himself.
Right.
So I think him putting America first in these things, with China, what he says about China just hits his base crazy. I mean, it hits his base. It hits the undecided people too.
Right.
It really does. So when we get to hear America first, the people that are a little bit more conservative leaning, it really hits them. It really hits them because we don't want the jobs. We don't want a global first. We don't mind global being prosperous, but we all deep down as an American have to get behind America first.
Right.
I mean, that's not a bad thing.
Right.
It's not a bad thing that America's first.
Right. And I think that you made a good point, America first. I think that trickles down further than just the presidential candidate. I think America first means can we combat injustice?
Yeah.
Can we get things fixed? I told my buddy the other day, if Los Angeles had a water crisis, it'd be fixed in days, right? There's no way they're going to let all those people have lead in their water or whatever for years.
Yeah.
Be fixed, right? Because the people that are there, the resources. So let's take this great idea and there's nothing more in my heart. If a genie popped up right now and I got 3 wishes, one of them would be to end all the things I think about that are happening out here, right?
Yeah.
And everybody be on the same thing. I don't think it's a race. Sometimes it is a race thing because I think that is taught, but it's a power struggle.
Yeah.
When people have power and they feel that is shifting, they will do more for that than anything else, right?
I mean, that at the bottom and the core of it all,
Right.
the power game is what we're playing.
Power game, right? And I know people don't like to talk about that. And I'm not going to get on here on your platform and make a huge rant. I'm only sharing things. I'm not trying to combat you.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to combat comments.
Hey, but if you believe something,
right?
This is the spot putting you in your place, man.
Right.
Like,
I'm not trying to make it. I'm not trying to have conversations with people, and like in a relationship, you might try to trump. Well, no, it's not that. We have to have conversations that might change people's perspective, so we can come together. I want to stand beside somebody that doesn't look like me, but shares the same heart that I have.
Definitely.
Because if something happened to one of these people who, let's say, are racist, let's say they had a sucking chest wound from a gunshot, and they need they need blood in them. Are they going to say, "Hang on, nurse, I am O positive, but what race is that coming from? That blood?"
No, we just want the blood.
Right?
Yeah.
Tragedy will help a middle-aged man that may not like other colors pull somebody up out of the water into a boat.
I mean, look what happened in 9/11.
We're all, but I don't want it to take that to do it, right?
Exactly.
I don't want it to be a tragedy for us.
Let's just come together.
Let's just come together.
Yeah.
Let's be there for each other. Nobody's going to ask, where's that blood coming from if you need it?
Yeah.
Right? You don't care that it came out of me. All you know is me and you share the same blood type.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that's all we are.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely.
So I think that if we can get rid of that and we can see down to a real like structure of the things, that is my biggest hope for everything, because it is so discouraging. I almost completely went off social media the other day.
Really? You just about deleted it?
I was done. I made a post, I deleted it because my post was interpreted wrong. I wasn't saying that I would do anything I can to protect myself. What I was saying is I would not be a victim, right? I'm not going to let my mom be a victim of something. I'm not going to let my dad, you, and that might put me in a compromising position, right?
Yeah.
But that's the scary part of it. I was so fed up with people's comments, what I was seeing, and just a lack of compassion that I'm like, okay, if I don't have to see it, I don't have to, because that's a form of digestion, right?
Yeah.
It's not just what we eat,
Right.
what we see, what we hear. I'm digesting this stuff and I don't understand it, right?
Yeah.
I don't understand how we're still dealing with some of the same policing issues we've been dealing with since the 50s,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
If you really look at it, why are we still talking about that? Why are police departments haven't been restructured to say, hey, this is not what we're here for, right? You're not supposed to take your personal vendettas, your anger. That's why I said mental health. Some of these videos that I see, it looks like these people finally get the opportunity. Go get a daggone punching bag.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Finally, that's not the opportunity to treat people like that.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is it's not just for a man that looks like me. Can you imagine how I'd feel if I looked on the internet and I saw that happening to you?
Yeah.
Where's he at? We need to go do something.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where's Scott at?
Yeah.
Right? And that's compassion. And I feel like that's what.
I mean, I've had to step up for a black man that thought he was being discriminated against to my own detriment. I mean, and I was willing to do that. I wanted to step up for the guy. Right. And clearly, in my opinion, he was clearly being judged by nothing but the color of the skin based on the offer that he made. You know, so I had to do something,
right.
and I almost got canceled for that within you know the confines of the situation that I'm in.
Gotcha.
So you know, it's definitely something that it just needs to end. We need to figure out a way to get it done.
And in my heart, I know maybe my kids won't see it. Maybe my kids' kids.
Yeah.
I pray for that, but the real thing that bothers me is that it actually happens. This isn't something that we're gossiping about.
Making it up.
We're not making this up.
You're not paranoid.
We're not paranoid.
Yeah.
And here's my thing. You may trust me to come into your home and eat with your family because I make you feel safe.
Yeah.
Right? I know Derek's not going to get at the dinner table, slap my mom, and flip the table over. Right? I know Derek's not going to do that, right? He's not going to do that. But you don't know about somebody else, right?
Yeah.
I think we have to put those walls down. Don't just treat me a certain type of way because you know me on a personal level, but then I see you writing insane, narrow-minded things. Why bring me lunch and treat me a certain type of way because I make you feel safe, but you're totally just pushing everything else?
So here's what I'm concerned with some of the things that these league associations are doing.
Right.
Is the fact that like putting these people on a level is, you know, and this is controversial for sure. Yeah. So like when you see all of the data or you get all the facts on something, and then these athletes are actually glorifying clear criminal activity with somebody's name that happened to die, you know, on a police's watch,
right.
that shouldn't have died.
Right.
But then like you see all the footage and get all the facts, and they just made a mistake. They didn't do the right thing to comply with the orders that they were given. Mm-hmm. And you know, like Breonna Taylor, criminal activity, drug activity, no-knock warrant. They've gotten rid of that. That's good. That's a good thing.
It's really good because how do I? You know, I'm a vet.
If they bust your door down, what's the main reaction?
Who do I know? Who do I know that's somebody that I should stop everything I'm doing and put my hands up in my living room?
Exactly.
Or do I need to act to protect my family?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, the way I'm wired, you kick my door in, I don't know who you are.
Right.
Right? My instinct kicks in at that point that I need to be ready for whatever's about to happen.
Yeah.
And that's a scary thought.
Yeah.
I think that I think I skipped over it, but you asked me how I felt about with the NFL locking arms. I think that I got into a conversation with a friend of mine.
Yeah, and you said something about like just dribble or something. Like you was going back to the NBA.
The reason why I did that is because, and I love this guy to death.
Yeah.
Right. And me and him had a talk outside of that.
Right.
The reason why I put that is because his response directly resembled Laura, whatever her last name is.
Yeah. Ingram.
Those guys are not just there for entertainment, right? When your favorite athlete, and he doesn't have to be a black man, right? Mm-hmm. But let's look at it. NFL 70% or plus African American. When your favorite athlete or running back is getting your points up on your daggone fantasy thing, your kid's got his jersey, his room's decked out in cowboy stuff, you like him because he's walking in the line that you think he should walk. If he starts speaking out about social injustice and maybe he wears a T-shirt you don't like or something like that, oh, bump that guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But he was good when he was getting you points.
Right.
They're more than entertainers. They did that in a manner that every attempt they made to protest or do something was downgraded and spoke negatively on, right? Taking a knee, you do it when you pray. Taking a knee is the biggest sign of respect anywhere in the country, right? Half of the people that have a problem with that was happening aren't even veterans.
Yeah.
A veteran suggested that, and I'm not going to get into that because people, they'll hang me up for that.
Right.
The thing I want to talk about is the reason why I put that post up is because I want to get rid of the rebuttals.
Yeah.
They did it in their own segment, not interfering anything. They did it collectively as different races, right? Unity, which is what we're talking about. And they still have people say, just shut up and play the daggone game. So that's why I said, are you not entertained? Right. Are they here just to entertain you?
Right.
Is that what they are? If they do something outside of that, is he still your favorite player? Right? Would you still invite him to dinner?
Right.
Right? You date my sister.
I think the question presented is that these are very disciplined, law-abiding, rich, mega rich people.
Right.
And for them to be propaganda, they're prophesizing or whatever the word is, like they're like, who are you glorifying here? Putting these people's names up on high, like that's the question. Right. Like, is after the facts, we're not disputing Black Lives Matter. Right. That is for sure.
Right.
And there's no argument to that. There's no, all lives matter or white lives matter or anything like that.
Can I make a small caveat to that? I'm talking about the Black Lives Matter as compassion, not the group.
Right? Not BLM Inc.
Not the group.
Not
somebody
Inc.
making money off of it
right.
and some rich guy funding it.
Some rich white guy.
Right. I won't even get into that.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the actual compassion that you can say, hey, I love A.J. Johnson, shout out to A.J. to death, and his life matters to me as a black man,
no doubt.
Right? That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the group that people...
Too many people want to argue. Too many people want to... They want to go into their own depths of their mind and try to come up with some reason why that's an offensive thing.
Right.
Or not relevant.
And you know why it is offensive?
Why?
Because when somebody says something like that, if you have any type of mud in your heart, it's going to bring it out.
Yeah.
Right? Your rebuttal shouldn't be all lives matter because you've missed the train.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When you say that, all lives do matter.
Yeah.
Somebody came in here right now with a knife, I'm getting on them. I don't want to get hurt, and I definitely don't want this whole room to be laid out, right?
Christy's going to stop.
Chris, right? You know what I'm saying? All right? Yeah. So here's the thing, right? All lives matter. Yes, they do. But across the board right now, what is happening to all lives in one subject? I'm not talking about work. I'm not talking about COVID. I'm talking about interaction, certain things. Are all lives being subject to certain types of treatment? I don't think so, right? And I think that people get caught up on that. It's not a power struggle. Black Lives Matter does not mean white lives don't.
Yeah.
It means that there is a problem, And we need our comrades that don't maybe look like us or share the same ideas to step up and say, yes, this is a problem.
Definitely.
Because that's when stuff changes.
Yeah,
right?
I agree. I mean, there's no debate.
Right.
There's no debate of, but do I want to send my money to BLM Incorporated? No.
No. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of people might get mad at me for that, but I have my own personal reasons for that, right? I think that right now with what's going on, people are confusing that statement of compassion with what they see from these groups, right?
Yeah.
These people want to combat these groups like they're playing paintball.
Right.
Like they want to go after them. They want to do this, you know? And it's funny that they want these groups disbanded so quickly, but the KKK can still get permits to march. Why are they not disbanded? Probably because if you disbanded them, some judge won't be able to go to his rallies anymore.
Right.
Some doctor that delivers black babies might be identified. That's the whole reason they wore sheets back in the day, because the guy that's burning your house down also is the guy that changes your money out at the bank. Right?
Right.
If we really want to talk about it, those people haven't gone anywhere. Their grandfathers got older, and now they've moved into positions where people get mad about systemic racism. What that means is it has changed. People have gotten to positions of power that can affect people. Housing, loans, things like that they have power over.
Yeah.
That's way more powerful than any type of fear or intimidation, right?
Yeah.
So why is it that these groups want to be disbanded so quickly, but that's a group that by definition is a domestic terrorist, but nobody wants to talk about that, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to say that that's the only issue.
Yeah.
I just have a time to talk about this stuff now, the
Sure.
stuff I think about.
Yeah.
I think that those players, like you said, and me and you disagree on that, right? You feel like the names that they are advocating for, when the facts came out, that is the reason that's causing the outrage, right?
I think that's helped spur the rioting. The influence of these people have made it acceptable to do the things that they're doing almost.
Okay.
Right.
Right.
And I could be wrong there, but it feels like they have tremendous influence. They have a huge platform.
Huge platform, right?
You know?
And I think that a lot of the people that had an issue with what's going on, those are the people that I'm most concerned about. What is going to be the correct answer for you, for somebody to use their innate right from being born in this country to speak out against something? Tell me what right looks like to you.
Yeah.
So that we can get on the same page.
I would say that they have it's easy to see that we have a problem.
Right.
Where's the problem? How can they influence the solution?
Right.
Other than being in a situation to put more people into BLM Inc.'s pocket,
Right.
and support that group and that movement of what they're about. That's run by a white guy. George Soros is notorious for coming into locations and disrupting the power order of it.
Right.
So that's just from my perspective and what I see.
Right.
I would just like, if LeBron James is gonna make an impact and talk about stuff, then like put good perspective on it. And have all the facts first,
Right.
and then come out with your opinion.
The reason why I put the hashtag shut up and dribble with the response that I got is because it resembled what Laura Ingraham said, right?
Yeah.
Hey, you're in a position as a black man, you win championships, kids idolize you, we don't need you speaking about injustice or politics.
Yeah.
Shut up and dribble. Why is that so, right? And we have a problem if nobody's immune to racism. Look what they did to LeBron's house.
Yeah.
Right?
I didn't see what they did. What did they do?
Yeah. They definitely graffitied
See if I can pull it up.
some negative comments on the perimeter security wall or something like that on his house. Right?
Gotcha.
So somebody can go from being an outstanding role model to your son to now when he speaks out about that, hey, son, we're not supporting LeBron anymore because he said that he feels that Black Lives Matter, which is too much associated with something that they already have a distaste for, not the compassion side, right?
Yeah.
So when that happens, now we got blurred lines.
Now, see, if LeBron would say, hey, obviously I support Black Lives Matter, but what's gone on with the organization Black Lives Matter,
Right.
I've got some issue I need to work out before I have anything to say about it.
Right.
But obviously, if he feels like the black community is in fear every day in America, he can project that. Like, I don't have any problem with that for him to say that. A lot of people did have a problem with him saying that the black community is waking up afraid every day. Right. And if he feels that way, if he feels his community feels that way, he's got the right to say that. I support that.
Right.
But I don't support like whatever the organization is that's running for profit, that's causing the disruption of everything in a negative way, that's not getting to where we want it to be, that's causing more division because of the power struggle that they're in. Right. So let's eliminate the power struggle. Let's eliminate these for-profit disruptors. And let's get them together and let's start loving each other. Right.
And you made a good point. I think that every day that me and you are blessed to wake up, I think we share some of the same mindset. Some may be different.
Yeah.
I think that when you wake up, there are things you think about that I would ever think about. And maybe there's some things that I pay attention to that you never would have to, right?
Yeah.
There are conversations I'm going to have with my children when I have them about things in the world that you will not have to have with your kids, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that that's a be-all, end-all. I'm just saying why, right?
Yeah.
The why is what gets people to overlook stuff, right? People got upset with LeBron for making that statement is because they can't relate to it. What do you mean black people wake up scared? Derek ain't scared. Yeah. That's because you know me, and I live in Dublin.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right? Everybody in my neighborhood, if somebody peed on my lawn, they're going to call me, right?
Yeah.
LeBron's speaking about different things, though. The area he comes from.
So
maybe out in different areas.
Let's use Chicago as an example. We all hear Chicago in the news, right?
Every day.
Is the black community in Chicago more fearful of the cops or their own community?
Depends on where they're at, right?
So, like,
let's be honest.
If they're in the projects,
right? Let's be honest, right? Yeah. We all see the crime rate over a holiday weekend. How many deaths happen, right?
Yeah.
That is fuel that's used by somebody that's going to make a rebuttal to anything that's going on right now, right? Oh, this black guy got beaten, seizure by a cop. Well, there were 200 deaths in Chicago this weekend. They don't care. We need to fix that.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Right? That's an issue.
Yeah.
Right? That's crazy.
Yeah.
But that doesn't negate
discount
this.
Any of that. Yeah.
This. If you can do that all
it's
the
still
time.
all wrong.
Right.
It's still all wrong.
If you can do that, then you know what? Live your life. You'll never want to see any change. In Chicago, I know I have a friend that lives there. I know that there are areas that are rougher and things like that. But there were things that I think that are put into place, right, that they may not be getting. I don't like the fact that there's so much murder. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
I don't support that.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
Right? But then am I a hypocrite because I like a Chief Keef song?
Right.
As a black man? Because somebody might tell me that.
Right.
Derek, how many times have you been to Chicago and advocated for gang violence to stop?
Right.
I haven't.
Are you in the trenches? No, we're not in the trenches.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not. To be honest with you, I'm not.
Yeah.
Have I tried to be? No. Right?
Yeah.
Because I'm focused on taking care of my family here.
Right.
And I know that that's an issue there, right? And we do need to fix that. That's not okay.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that as a community, the more focus that we can put on fixing things, the less rebuttals it gives people. And I want that to stop because that's senseless, right?
Yeah.
And also, the more that they can show that all these things are happening, the less sensitivity you have when it's just another black man.
Yeah.
Right? You can say, well, it happened in Charlotte. Could have happened when he got back to Florida.
Right.
Right?
Definitely.
And I think that that's the problem. You know?
For sure.
There's a lack of there's a lack of compassion. And I read this statement. Lupe Fiasco said in a song, he said, when he looks in the mirror, he doesn't see a ally, he sees an enemy, right? Or some along those lines. Lupe, I'm sorry if I got it wrong. Basically, what he was saying is, when you look in the mirror as a black man, are you checking to make sure that the clothes you have on that day are not too subjective, right? Am I wearing something that could make me look a certain type of way? Do I look threatening, right? Do I have anything on me that could be considered something that could make a situation escalate?
Yeah.
We have these conversations with ourselves every day, right? Yes, sir. No, ma'am. No. Make everybody comfortable. No confusion, right? It's called a Hulk complex. It's a real thing. Some police officers may see a 17-year-old black male, and to them, he's 30. He's got Hulk-like strength. If he does something to me, I'm going to have to do, the fear that we talked about.
Yeah.
That's where it goes back to mindset, right? Let me not put this in the wrong way. If an officer sees a teenager that resembles his own son, do you think he's more likely or less likely to use compassion?
He's going to be more likely.
More likely, right?
Yeah.
Because he identifies with that person. If he has personal biases, racism that was taught to him, he's feeding in all the stuff going on in the world, a teenager that doesn't resemble his son is now a huge threat, right? And I got to go home tonight. That all these things are coming up in their head, but they're not identifying that teenager that looks like my son, he's a young punk and he made a mistake, right? And I'd want somebody to show compassion to my son like that. Mm. Well, what if that guy doesn't look like your son? What goes through your mind there? Back to what we talked about: mental health evaluations, diversity training, figuring out who this person is, right? Because if we have the most powerful people right now wearing badges, they need to be the most mentally stable, right?
Yeah.
And this is not just a police issue. Everybody that's going to watch this is going to see that I said that vandalism and protest and riot that way is wrong.
Yeah.
We need to fix crime within the black community, because what's going on in Chicago, I don't support. It hurts my heart.
Yeah.
I hate to see that. I even said, let's take the best artists in the world, because black culture is the most marketable culture in the world, and let's put out songs about plant-based diets and meditation. Let's do it, just to see.
Yeah.
If we do those things, what's the conversation look like now, right? If we fix things and we come together and have more respect for ourselves, and I'm not saying that we don't.
Yeah.
I'm just saying this is what I hear.
Right.
Right? What does that trickle to other communities? And then do they say, well, you know what? Damn it. I ain't got nothing bad to say. I guess now there's a problem. And maybe we have to do that. It's sad. I just want to know the answer, because I got so frustrated the other day I cried. And I normally don't cry, but I felt helpless. I really felt helpless. Like, what is going on? You cannot tell me that all these things that are happening, that all these police departments that are seeing this stuff, what are their chiefs' morning breakdown conversations look like with their officers?
Yeah.
Why is this still happening? It has to be because there's an underlying issue here. The more unity we have in this country, it's not good for the upper crust, right? Unity is not good. That's not what they want. They don't want artists speaking about positivity. No more hoes and I did this to your baby mama and all this stuff.
Yeah.
They want that. They don't want young black kids knowing that there's another part of black history that never gets taught in school, which is the part that we were the first people to invent XYZ, astronomers, kings and queens. You come from royalty, right?
Definitely.
If you had a kid that came home and said, Daddy, guess what? Malcolm's a king. Malcolm who, in your grade? Yeah. What that damn teacher teaching y'all, right? Because now she's going outside of what the mandated portion of what needs to be taught in schools, right?
Right.
And I'm saying that is a part of it too. We're not realizing our identity. And I'm not saying that as a whole. I'm saying that I see these things and I know that I'm a hypocrite in some ways.
Everybody's a walking contradiction in some
Walking
way.
contradiction, right?
I mean,
like I said, you pick up my phone right now, go through 5 songs, Rick Ross will come up somewhere. Love the guy.
Right.
Love him. There ain't a beat that he gets on that he doesn't ride. But at the same time, right? people can say, well, Derek, this is what he's saying, and that directly reflects this community. I got it.
Yeah.
Right? And I know that's a rebuttal. So the only thing that I can think of now, let's fix everybody's rebuttals, and then maybe we'll talk about, the issue at hand.
That would be a perfect world.
I
wish we could achieve it.
I know what I'm saying is crazy, but I don't know anything else right now that could kind of work because I see this just getting worse. And people might get mad at me for this. I'm hoping he gets another term.
Well, honestly,
because if he don't,
I think we're getting set up here. I think we're, as I've aged, I've become kind of more of a conspiracy theorist. I'm like, I go on the deep end sometimes.
Right.
Like I go on the way deep end on sometimes. But it just feels like this mail-in voting thing is just another way to create division and uncertainty. And, they're calling it the red mirage. Have you heard that term?
Well, somebody told me that I better be riding the red train this year. And I've never had somebody try to tell me as a grown man how I should vote. But he really meant it when he told me that.
Well, no, I mean, you were told that you weren't black if you didn't vote Biden.
That's true.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that.
At that point in the conversation.
Oh, man, let me write this down.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
In that point in the conversation, is your vote back up for grabs, or do a lot of people just say, well, he's joking? Like, just tell me what you thought. Like, I'm going to justify that. The guy was clearly joking.
Right.
Like, or do you be like, okay, that is ridiculous. And now I might still vote for him, but now he's got to earn it. Now he's got to get it.
Right. I think that when he did that, it was three things. Historically, the Democratic Party has always tried to pull for the minority vote, right? They poll, they go across the country.
For 50 years, they've gotten it.
All the neighborhoods, kissing babies, right? But do they really care?
No.
Right? No. Right?
And the Republicans didn't care because they didn't think they could get it.
They didn't think they could get it, right? But now they see a shift, right?
All these black faces showing up as conservative representatives.
Right. I don't really poll for either side, right? Yeah. One thing I do know that as a veteran, I know that a Republican Party is always going to make space for vets and armed forces. It's just historically what they do, right? Which makes me feel good, right? Yeah. I think that when he said that, the interview was with somebody that he was trying to be cool with, right? He was trying to add some vernacular to the interview, right? And he said something that he might have thought that he didn't filter, right? And he thought it would go over well and be cool. Like, hey, speaking to a black man, you ain't black if you don't vote for me. Pound it. It didn't go over like that, right? Yeah. A lot of people didn't see it like that. Yeah. And then, too, what is really going on with that? Because if you remember, Donnie kind of said the same thing. Hey, what do you have to lose?
Now, that's not the same, though.
It's not the same, but...
So it's like, hey, give me a shot at this thing with you guys, and I'm going to come through.
But are we...
That's how I took it anyway.
He made it seem like we were... street slugs, like, what do you have to lose? Everything, your schools, your this.
That's an interesting perspective.
All right, yeah. And then at a Trump rally right after that, veterans are held in a high regard, right? I love that about this country, right? It didn't always used to be that way. Yeah. When the men came home from Vietnam,
yeah.
All right, now, fast forward to when Trump first got elected, he was doing his rallies. There was a black woman that went to one of his rallies that was anti what he had going on. I saw so many vets, older vets, punched, slapped, pulled her. They hit on her on national TV.
Wow.
And let's take the fact away that she's a black woman. She's a woman. Not one man in there started knocking people out because they were putting their hands on her as a woman. They were all, it was a trickle effect, a domino effect. You hit her, and I see, oh, what's going on? Oh, she's here with this thing. I hit her. You hit her. 10 people hit her, maybe more, and they removed her. That went over without a blip, right? How? That's what told me the climate was changing. When something like that can happen on national TV, there's no outrage. Like I said, let's take away the fact she's a black woman. A woman was getting hit, slapped, pulled, yelled at in her face by men, and no man in that whole room stood up and said, this is wrong. we got a problem.
Yeah.
That's when I knew.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you're referring to. I don't recall that.
We can pull it up.
Yeah.
But I knew then.
I don't doubt.
I knew then that we were dealing with a whole different animal here, right? And the fact, and he was even yelling, "Get her out of here." Back in the day, they would have been pulled out in the street and
Yeah, I do remember him saying that.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
rhetoric, if you listen, you know what he's talking about. My bad. I'm not trying to make that a big point here. I'm just trying to say that when I see stuff like that, the scary part is, to him, this is a lifetime achievement. To the people that believe in him, this is their livelihood, right?
Yeah.
And they are willing to express that as much as they want to in any way. And please forgive me. I'm not saying that if you voted for Trump or if you're a Trump supporter that you're a bad person.
Dude, I was never Trump.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. Scott,
Yeah.
you like him. I'm not.
Honestly,
I'm not.
as far as like a policy,
Right.
like the policies that he has, that he's enacted, that he's done, I'm not necessarily still thrilled about how he's talked about women and the moral compass of the guy.
Right.
You know, like he's not a presidential type of figure. You know, like Obama was a presidential type of figure. He just didn't do much.
Right.
You know.
And I agree with that.
Yeah.
A lot of people might get upset with me and say, "Oh, well, this happened." As a soldier, when Obama got elected, I was deployed. You know what happened in the DFAC when they put his picture up on the screens as we were eating? Soldiers dumped their trays,
Wow.
got up and left.
Wow.
Full plates full of food. We have a saying on the wall: "Take all you want, eat all you take." We don't waste food. But they were so disgusted at the image that they saw of who their commander-in-chief was. No other president's been disrespected as much as him as a commander-in-chief. I watched soldiers that wore the same uniform as I did get up and leave the DFAC. Now, that's their personal. I can't say nothing about that, right? But if you look at it, can we at least give credit where credit's due? I said I don't hate the man. I just said I think that he doesn't realize he has formed this propaganda. He has formed this ideology that people really have taken to heart.
Yeah.
And I think he needs to realize he has a big, what's the word I'm looking for? Influence on how people think and what they're doing.
There's no doubt about it.
I made a joke the other day. I said, if he came on TV and he said for the next 24 hours, there's a purge, and I'm allowing it, that's far-fetched, I know. You think people wouldn't do it?
People would definitely do it.
They would definitely do it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be smart.
Yeah.
But they would do it.
Yeah.
And that's what's so scary, that people follow and they believe in him that much. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I think if any president said that, though, they'd probably get some influence on like people doing it.
Right.
You know.
But and that's far-fetched. It's only because I watched that movie the other day.
Right.
And, but I'm just saying that, and like I said, let me go on the record and say, I really feel that he did not believe that he could do it. I think he did it to show us something. And I hope that at the end of all this, he's going to look back and say, we got a lot of work to do, y'all. Y'all got me in there.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I'm saying?
The talking point.
There's that video. I'm not going to play it because it's like, kind of sad, but which is what I'm seeing here is pretty sad that you see like at least two people just standing there, both males, holding their phone, just recording.
They're
and
recording? Those burger hats, that's a Vietnam era, Korean War era veteran. Yeah. As she goes back through the crowd because they're telling her to leave, more men pull on her and slap her, okay, just because she was at that rally and she was, protesting against.
Back in 2016?
This was early on. This was early on.
March 2016.
But this set the climate for what I was seeing. Yeah. And I'd never seen, when else have you seen a presidential rally where that's happened?
Yeah.
Right? That showed me right there that he was awakening something in people.
It's funny, though, how many haters he got at the rallies, because you don't usually see that. You don't see the haters show up at the opposing candidates' rallies in the crowd. They might be outside, but you don't see them actually infiltrating somebody they don't support to try to cause chaos.
Right.
Right. So, I see
both spectrums.
There's nothing right about physical assault at all on anybody, any sex, at any time.
And that was my post the other day.
Yeah.
no matter what your job status is, you're my boss or subordinate or nothing, nobody should put their hands on anybody. That's not right. Yeah. And I'm not pulling this up to say that this trumps everything that's been going on. Trump, right? Yeah. I'm saying that
even when you're not trying to branding, you're
I'm branding him, right? The guy's a genius. I will say that. And he makes me laugh.
He's savage in some ways.
He is savage. He was signing his autograph and he was saying, "That's 10 grand on eBay. It's 10 grand." I cried laughing. Like, the dude, you know what I'm saying? And I know I'm contradicting myself, but what I'm saying is, I don't think he fully realizes what, the following that he has, right? It's their stands, almost. That video right there was from a while ago, but when I watched that video, it let me know that the climate was changing. Yeah. Not for Mother Earth, but I'm talking about how people felt about things. And it's almost like he took people from being keyboard gangsters to real life confrontational people that go against, if you go against what he's got, people will confront you about that.
I don't want to ever fall down an echo chamber. I want to be a free thinker. I want to hear both sides of the story. Right. I want to collect facts and make my own decision on based on critical thinking and my gut. Right. I mean, my gut's led me to great places.
And when I ignored it, it didn't.
Exactly.
And you should always think that way, right?
Yeah.
And back to what you were saying about certain decisions and things that I made. When you ignore your gut on certain things, you probably, you know what I'm saying? I didn't get on here and bash the kid that went to that rally. I just said that at his age. Yeah.
Why is he taking part in war games?
The responsibility he does not know.
Yeah.
He didn't go there that night. He went there in hopes like, man, I got this old cool AR, man. I'm gonna go out here and help. Do you think he ever thought for 1 second that he would have to actually use it?
Right.
And now his life went from being a normal 17-year-old kid that's got a fascination for guns, because who doesn't, to now all these things have happened in your life because the placement and access you had to certain things, right?
Right.
And he's walking around with it. I'm not making this a black-white thing. I'm making this a moral thing. The young man shouldn't have been there, right? And most people might say, well, yeah, he had the right to be there, right? Well, I'm not going to get into the legalities, but I know now if you could talk to him in this room, he would tell you he wish he wouldn't have been there.
Because he's behind bars.
Right, you know what I'm saying?
He's fighting for his life.
Right, and he could have watched that from home. And I'm not saying the protesters or anybody that was there that reached for his weapon or they tried to do anything, those people they're playing a dangerous game too. Play dumb games, win stupid prizes.
Yeah.
But they put themselves into a position by trying to grab a firearm that now he feels like he needs to react, and now people aren't here anymore. Yeah. He didn't want to shoot nobody. And some people might get mad at me and say that he went there with the intent to hunt or to do certain things because of this vigilante spirit that's going on.
Yeah.
Even if he did, he wasn't prepared for what's happened now.
Yeah. And when people attacked him, what could he do? Like they were coming after the things that he had.
The things that he had, because they knew now that, oh, you're not, we see what side you're on, right? But can we be honest for a second? I'm not going to say that.
Go ahead.
I'm not going to say that. Yeah. As a young man of color, 17 years old with an AR, how long would he been able to walk around out there without some type of police interaction? Well, and that's what I mean by sensitivity training.
Yeah.
I think that...
Well, the police were able to control, like, if he was in the group that was doing the rioting that he was inevitably coming for...
Right.
If he was the BLM people or Antifa people, they probably were. Some of them probably were strapped.
Right.
Probably did have the same.
And they did.
materials.
They did have guns because the one guy did pull a gun that lost his arm. Right. I think that, and I want to say this. I think that across this country, if you have, and I see more black families doing the right thing by doing weapons training.
Yeah.
Obtaining firearms legally and taking the classes to be able to use them in a responsible way. I think that puts a lot of fear in people because people still have the mindset that as a black man that I shouldn't have a firearm because I'm already dangerous without it. That's what they think.
Yeah.
Without a gun, I may be the most dangerous person in the room without a gun.
Yeah.
Multiply that by me having one.
Yeah.
they feel like you shouldn't have one.
Right.
I'm not saying everybody.
Honestly, dude, the people that want guns, go get them. The people that don't
fool with them.
Yeah.
Right? I feel like there's a mentality that they should not have them, or if they do have them, they're irresponsible. Why is that?
That's weird.
How do you not know the years in the military this guy had? Or maybe he's been shooting since he was 12 and he has perfect basic rifle marksmanship and weapon safety and classes and training.
Yeah.
How do you know that? Let's get away from that, right? Because, history note, the NRA didn't stop supporting most men and women of color with their firearms until the Panthers started open carry.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I remember reading some article about that.
Because now you have people that already may put you on edge, and now they have firearms, right? Mm-hmm. And now they have them legally, so you're thinking like, why do they even have them? What's going on here? It's a power thing, like you talked about, right? I don't want somebody out maximizing the power or being a threat or something like that. I just don't understand that aspect of it, but I digress.
I honestly think, man, we've had a great hour and a half.
Yeah.
We can take this and put it in the can, and you know, whoever's watching, if there's anybody still watching, we thank you for kind of hanging in there with us, letting us get this out. Derek's going to be a regular. We love his perspective. We want more of his perspective, and dude, I appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for letting me on the platform again.
Yeah.
And everybody be looking out. I am going to put some type of stand-up 30-minute segment together. I got some material, so just support me in that.
We need to give you a formula of, like, you know, where to be, how to be.
Right.
You know, obviously you need to start your YouTube channel, or like get that in a spot. You need to be on TikTok.
Right.
You need to be doing, you need to be doing taking the Kevin Hart roadmap and putting your own content out.
Right.
I mean, he's posting, you know, once a week at least.
At least, yeah.
So, are you on TikTok yet?
Now, I did create an account. I have not had anything on there yet. I remember when you reached out to me, you told me I need to be on there.
You do.
Thank you for everybody that, even the small group of people that asked me where my videos and stuff are. I took a break. I kind of went through a moment where I was unsure if this is the path I wanted to go on, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like it is now,
yeah.
right? I had to take some time to really reflect. But I feel like this is something that I want to put a lot of focus into.
These social media channels are changing regular people's lives.
Right.
I mean, you know, I'm trying to be talent. You are actual talent. And the fact that you need these platforms to get your talent out there, like, I'm going to enjoy watching you succeed in this. Because I know if anybody's got a chance here locally, with the knowledge that we're going to have helping you, it's going to be, I think we're going to be successful with your personal brand and your story and your perspective on things. Right. So I'm eager to see that happen.
And I appreciate that. Yeah. I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's going to wrap it up. So until next time, putting you in your place. I'm super excited about this show. Derek, again, thanks, man.
Thank you, man.
Yeah. See you guys.
See you.